Hello students, so let's start chapter number 4, which is reactions in aqueous solution. So as we have I have explained about the aqueous meaning water. So we are talking mostly about the reactions which done in water. So aqueous means water. So for aqueous solution, aqueous reaction, the solvent will be water. So in this chapter, these are the main heading will be general procedure, properties of aqueous solution, precipitation reaction, acid base neutralization reaction, oxidation reduction reaction, concentration of solution, and solution stoichiometry and chemical analysis. So these topics we will cover in this chapter. So let's start. Number 1 is the solution. So solution is defined as a homogeneous mixture of two or more pure substances. So for an example, solution is example of sodium chloride in water. Sodium chloride is a salt which we eat. So and when we dissolve this in the water, it completely mix in the water, and that is called a solution, because that will be homogeneous. You cannot see the solid sodium chloride in the water. So for solution there are two components. Number 1 is solvent, number 2 solute. Solvent is present in greater abundance, example water, in the above solution, and all other substances are called solute, sodium chloride in the above solution. So for an example, if we are making a solution of sodium chloride in water, so water would be called as a solvent because that would be in the more in quantity, and sodium chloride would be called as a solute. So for the aqueous reaction, solvent will be water. When water is the solvent, the solution is called an aqueous solution. And in this figure, this shows the molecular substance like methanol dissolve without forming ion. So when we these image shows the methanol, and these are the water molecule. So when we dissolve methanol in the water, they do not ionize to each other. Methanol do not ionize, just like sodium chloride ionizes, but it completely form a homogeneous solution is as well. So methanol is a molecular compound. When dissolved in water, that also form a solution. So this is another example for solution. And let's talk about more about the aqueous solution. Substances can dissolve in water by different ways. So whenever we try to make a aqueous solution, solute dissolve in solvent in a different ways. So solute will be, remember, solute will be like a small quantity sodium chloride, and solvent will be in larger quantities like water. So 3 different ways we can dissolve or we can make a aqueous solution, like ionic compounds, molecular compounds, and some molecular substances. So ionic compound dissolve by dissociation, where water surrounds the and separate the ion. What is the meaning? We will see in the figure. And molecular compound interact with water but do not dissociate. So this is a new term here, dissociation. Dissociation means breaking apart into pieces. So if this is a big thing, it will pieces into small. So dissociation. Molecular compound interact in the water but they do not dissociate. So molecular compound don't dissociate in the water. And some molecular substances react with water when they dissolve. All substances dissolve in solution surrounding of the solute by solvent. So this picture shows here the big these ball, it shows the about the sodium chloride salt. This water molecule separate sodium ion and chloride ion form sodium chloride. So water molecule, and then here these ball are actually, this is not a colored picture, but this if we will see in the colored picture, you can see the two different ball. Biggest ball is for chloride ion and small ball for sodium. So sodium chloride, this is shows the crystal, solid crystal when dissolved in water. So water separate these sodium ion separate and chloride ion separate. So you can see chloride ion have a negative charge, and that is interacting with the white ball, which is a hydrogen as a positive ion, and then sodium is a small ball which is interacting with this water, oxygen, have a negative property. Another example is methanol, we have seen. So methanol don't dissociate, methanol itself remain as such the whole molecule in the water. So this is the two way of interacting with the water. Ionic compound, which is sodium chloride, is dissociating in the water, and molecular compound, it do not dissociate but just interact with the water. Next is a solute in solution. So dissociation and ionization, a process, these two are the two different words. And so solute dissociate in the water or ionizes in the water. So dissociation, a process in which ionic compound dissolve in solution and separate or break into small pieces, small ion, called soluble ionic compounds. Example, soluble ionic compound: sodium chloride, potassium chloride, sodium carbonate, Na2CO3, like that. Ionization, a process in which molecular or ionic, non-ionic compound dissolve in solution and separate or break into smaller ions, soluble non-ionic compounds. For an example, methanol, CH3OH, methanol, ethanol, CH3, CH2, OH, etc. So these are the two ways solute dissolve in the water to form a solution. We will discuss more about the dissociation and ionization. So in dissociation, example, sodium chloride, when dissolved in water, it break into sodium ion and chloride ion, and this aqueous means that sodium ion is surrounded by water molecule HOH. So that is why it's written aqueous. On this side also, chloride is interact with hydrogen. Now you can see I am showing the oxygen towards sodium and hydrogen towards chlorine. So it is exactly same as we have seen in this picture, that these white ball for hydrogen are surrounding chloride ion, and sodium ion is surrounded by water molecule where oxygen is nearer to them. So we'll see why this is happening, why only sodium ion is surrounded by oxygen and why chlorine is surrounded by hydrogen, in next slide. And another example is ionization. So ionization example is sodium HCl. HCl is ionizes into H plus and chloride minus into water. So but it don't dissociate because this is a molecular compound. So we have seen that water have two different kind of orientation. So basically you can see this is a copyright image. So this is this ball is showing the water molecule, and this is showing for H2 hydrogen. And if you see, this is exactly like oxygen and hydrogen. So what happened here? So oxygen have more tendency to pull the electron towards hydrogen, towards itself from hydrogen. That is why it get partial negative charge, and hydrogen get partial positive charge. So water molecule is considered as a polar. That is why this sodium chloride dissolve in this one water very easily. Actually this image is for hydrogen gas H2. It shows, which is it shows that two hydrogen, when they bond to each other, they share the electron very equally and there is no charge anywhere. But when the hydrogen are attached with the oxygen have more tendency to pull the electron itself. That is why it gets minus charge and hydrogen get partial positive charge. So whole molecule of water have negative and positive charges, and that is why it's called water is a polar solvent. So polar solvent because there is a polarity minus and plus, and this shows the vector for polarity. Next is this image. This again shows the process, the orientation of the water molecule around the positive and negative ions, the dissociation of an ionic compound, how ionic compound it dissociate. So you can see this is showing minus and big ball, which is chloride ion. This is the chloride ion, and it is surrounded by the water molecule, and the small balls represent for hydrogen. So it is surrounded by hydrogen like this one, oxygen, because we have seen the water molecule is a polar and hydrogen have partial positive charge and oxygen have partial negative charge. So chloride ion is surrounded by partial positive charge, since we know that negative and positive have attraction. That is why this chloride ion is surrounded by hydrogen or positive nature of hydrogen from the water. On the other hand, this is small ball which shows the sodium ion, which have the positive charge, sodium +1. Usually it's surrounded by oxygen, and oxygen have partial negative charge. So you can see there is a big ball correspond to the minus charge of this correspond to the oxygen, and we know that water have partial negative charge on the oxygen. So sodium is attracted by oxygen and chloride ion attracted by hydrogen, and in this way all the chloride ion was pulled from the this crystal by water molecule through hydrogen, and sodium ion was pulled by water through oxygen and get dissolved in water. So this was the example of the solvent and solute, and how this aqueous reaction work for ionic compounds. So we will see the other slide in the next video.